Big beautiful hands, breathing life to the new. As the baby cries a true thank you, with a big smile and that gentle glow. He always knew, just because you all say that when the room goes still, you reach right in and you make it heal. Big beautiful hands shine for the whole world. Big beautiful hands, soft as a prayer. You held someone's whole world in the palm of your hands, held someone's whole life's plans in those big beautiful hands. In trouble with APHRA, standing in line with a glint on his teeth and a wink in his eye. Good doc in the 83 too, holding it with me and you, talking true on the club, so all blue bees know. You all say that when the flower goes still, you reach right in and you make it bloom. Big beautiful hands shine for the whole world. Big beautiful hands, soft as a prayer. You held someone's whole world in the palm of your hands, held someone's whole life's plans in those big beautiful hands. Now talking truth on the clothes, every scar tells grace, every tiny breath found a safer place. And when the night got long, you stayed right through, no words too small for what you do. You all say that when the propaganda looms, you reach right in and you make it real. Big beautiful hands shine for the whole world. Big beautiful hands, soft as a prayer. You held someone's whole world in the palm of your hands, held someone's whole life's dreams in those big beautiful hands. Big beautiful hands, we see the truth there.
Okay, so we had a really interesting interview tonight. It was going to be a young man who took the jab to go to, I think in 2022, to go to Bunbury to the schoolies. And apparently McGowan had said everyone has to take the jab if they want to go to the schoolies. Anyway, he had a massive heart issue and he had to go to hospital. When he was in hospital, the hospital was full of young men from the schoolies and young women, I think, who were all suffering massive heart issues. The hospital was overrun. That was his statement. Unfortunately, about 15 minutes before we're about to go live, he contacted me to say he's got to work late, so he wants to reschedule. But at the same time, too, he works at the mines. He's bought himself a house. And we actually talked about the thing of how hard it is to talk now. So I'm not saying he's not doing it because he's not doing it because he's not lying. He's saying his work, but we live in a country now where there's so much pressure on people to tell the truth. So much, there can be so much, what's the word? If you tell the truth, there can be so much you have to pay. Like he could lose his job, which would see him lose his house and everything just for telling the truth. And so this is where we are. So he's pulled out. So we had this other interview that I did a few years ago with Dr. William Bay, and we interviewed a guy called Dooley, Professor Dr. Dooley from New Zealand. Now, he's American by birth, and what he did was a deep dive into APHRA and who rules APHRA, because APHRA is not ruled by us. It's not our government. They're not in charge of it. They're independent, and yet they rule all our doctors. And who rules them? And so this is about waking up and finding basically a lesson in that. Now, a lot of you people might have seen this, so I understand if you switch off. But this is important because AMPS and this new thing we're starting called the Hippocratics, those doctors, they don't want Australia to sign over to the WHO. And I've said the first thing we have to do is educate people into what is the WHO, what is APHRA. And I think the really great argument for it is the Lima Agreement. So in the 1970s, Australia was a manufacturing powerhouse. And then they signed a thing called the Lima Agreement, which saw a lot of the manufacturing go offshore. In fact, so much of it went offshore. The only really thing we manufacture anymore is coffee. And so I think now we're looking to sign over to the WHO and maybe through APHRA. And I think it's something we should have a nationwide discussion about before we do, because what are the benefits, what are the losses, and I don't see how handing over our sovereignty to an international organization would ever be good for us when we can do it ourselves. And a lot of other countries feel the same. New Zealand's not doing it. Argentina's not doing it. America's not doing it. Lots of people are pulling out of the pandemic treaty, which the WHO has, and all these other things. So, but I'm not an expert on it. There'll be doctors coming on who are, but one who is an expert is this doctor. So I've got permission from William Bay to pay it again because he has to be a bit low at the moment with court cases he's going through. But he says it's okay to pay past interviews. And so this is it. So see what you think. Incredible, and brave and talented Emily James trio with Watching Your Genes. That's available on Lockdown Culture. Just go to Cafe Lockdown Culture, get it there. Maybe think of buying their album. First off, I'm going to bring in my co-host, the fabulous Dr. William Bay, who is, I think, one of the bravest men in the country. How are you going?
Yeah, excellent. Thanks. I was just watching the stunningly brave men that compete in the women's sports. That was fabulous, wasn't it?
Well, they got it.
just remarkable bravery. I'm so impressed.
So, I'm trying to be serious here because we have an amazing guest on here today, and I think you two are going to get it hit on. And I do have his. I've had it all set up here, but we had a few things go wrong as usual.
Sure.
So I'm just trying to get his bio up because he's in the last few minutes he sent me a few things, and I don't usually read out intros, but this one is so accomplished that I think it warrants it. So just give me a sec. I don't know what happened to it. Yeah. Well, how have you been going? As I'm looking for this, how have you been going yourself?
Yeah, good, thanks. The fight continues against the evil ones, that is the evil clowns of AHPRA and the Medical Board in the Supreme Court of Queensland. I did an update on that recently. The pre-trial hearings have been substantially completed. Actually, I can announce on this show this evening, Michael, that I now have another date for the next hearing in this ongoing saga. And so my next hearing's in the Brisbane Supreme Court of Queensland on September 5th. Where I'll be suing AHPRA and the Medical Board in Queensland for informed consent and the right to freedom of choice in Australia and for doctors to speak freely.
Wow.
And we will win,
I love
yes.
You, brother. I love you, brother. Okay, so we are having on Bruce Ross Dooley, MD MS. Now listen to this. and I'm going to get the medical stuff, probably say it wrong, but I'll give it a go. Bruce has been practicing functional CAM integrative medicine since 1990. Prior to that, at the age of 28, and as an emergency medicine physician, he opened 2 minor emergency centers, one in Park City, Utah, and the other in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Bruce then went on to open a total of 4 integrative centers in Florida, featuring EDTA Chelation therapy. I know I've said that wrong. Forgive me. During that period, he also founded 2 international companies, Marine Medical, which outfitted and trained yacht crews, and MercOut International for testing and treating of mercury poisoning. He traveled globally, training physicians on the importance of considering testing and treating mercury toxicity using the 30-day oral MercOut program he created. In the mid-90s, Bruce ran into his opposition from the Florida Board of Medicine over his advocating EDTA Chelation therapy for arterial disease. As a result of this battle and his being on the board of the American College for the Advancement of Medicine, ACAM, a 1,200-strong CAM physician organization, he learned about the 110-year-old Federation of State Medical Boards. Attending 2 FSMBS annual meetings undercover, like yourself, William, in 1998 and 1999, he then gave testimony in Washington, D.C. before the 2001 Clinton White House Commissions on CAM and revealed FSMB's massive control over the U.S. medical boards and their efforts to wipe out CAM and other natural therapies. Bruce received his BS at St. Joseph's University, Philadelphia, his MS in immunology at Villanova University, Pennsylvania, and an MD at Jefferson Medical Center, Philadelphia. He has active medical licensure in Hawaii, Florida, and New Zealand. Presently lives in Golden Bay, New Zealand, with his wife Ina and daughter Kyra, and sees patients as a private consultant. And he came on the 24-hour marathon. He was only on briefly, and I thought, my God, we've got to get this man on. And so let's bring him in. That's a hell of an introduction, Doctor.
Hey guys, how are you? Welcome from New Zealand.
What a life.
So it's been a joyride, I tell you. And I'm anytime I can get the information out about the Federation, particularly you, Dr. Bay, you need to know that APHRA is taking directions directly from this 110-year-old dark secret organization that was formed in 1912 by pretty much we believe by the Rockefeller drug pharmaceutical industry to wipe out homeopathy and all the other natural medicines. So yeah, so they've gone international now. That's why in 1993 the British Commonwealth countries were invited. The medical boards of Australia, Canada, and New Zealand were invited to the San Francisco annual meeting, where they said, guys, maybe we should do an international one. So their address now for this international association is at the same address in Euless, Texas, and this where they hide out and do their dirty work. And they monitor the world, and any doctors that are out there trying to give informed consent or say that they can't give informed consent or whatever in these last 2-3 crazy years, they then have a little call to the medical council, medical board of whatever country that person's in. And the next thing you know, there's it's off and running. Like we have 26 people here, 26 doctors here from the New Zealand Doctors SOS, which I think you might, Mike, have you had anybody on from the New Zealand Doctors SOS?
No, maybe. We have had lots of guests, so maybe. I have some of the things. I got the AHPRA officer's copy. You sent me a few things. I got them through. Some didn't work, some did. So.
No, that's okay. So New Zealand, just a little plug for the group that's battling here in New Zealand, because New Zealand is, and like Australia, because it is one of the original, it is the founding group of this AHPRA, International Association of Medical Regulatory Agencies. Currently, this year, our CEO, Joan Simeon of the Medical Council here, became the chairperson for AHPRA. And so she receives a very nice salary, by the way, in addition to what she gets. She's not a physician either. She started out in a, just working at, back then at, I think, clerical stuff. Anyway, she was appointed to the position of chairperson by Jacinda Ardern. You might have heard that name. And she and the president of the federation, Hank Chandri, who makes $1 million US a year, he's a DO, a doctor of osteopathy. They were 3 months ago photographed in Geneva with Tedros signing a contract, signing an agreement, which we have not been able to see. Tedros, of course, is head of the World Health Organization. So
Bruce, yeah. So what you're saying is that this organization, AHPRA, as I like to call it, the International Association of Medical Regulatory Authorities, and the FSMB, the Federation of State Medical Boards, they're two sides of the same coin.
Absolutely.
Yep, and they're working behind the scenes to influence and suppress basically alternative therapies or freedom of speech and therapies in medical boards around the world. Is that right?
Totally, without a doubt. In fact, most of the medical boards, medical councils, and I went, as I said, I went undercover to two of them because it was really, nobody knows about this. Most of the doctors don't know about this. I didn't know about it back in mid-90s. We had this association, ACAM, American College of Advanced Medicine. I was on the board of directors. I was also president of the Florida Association. We had 130 alternative docs. And anyway, so it's a fascinating story about how the universe kind of gives you little signals. And I remember Terry Chappell, who was our president of the ACAM board, and we had $1 million in the bank, by the way. We were growing at 200 doctors a year of all ages. It was taking off like crazy. As I said, we were the biggest in the world. And anyway, so Terry Chappell says to me, mutters under his breath, that's damn federation. They've declined our offer to be expert witnesses, in their new upcoming CAM document that they're doing. So 26, rejections. And I thought, I just put that away. I didn't think about it. And then I got attacked by my medical council in medical board in Florida for doing chelation therapy. Mike, it's chelation.
Oh, is that what it says?
Yeah, chelation. Yeah. So it's
make up those words so we feel like idiots just trying to pronounce.
So this is amazing therapy, and we don't have to go into that. But the point is that they, as I was leaving that board meeting where they slapped me with a disciplinary mark, which I didn't know at the time what that meant, I heard one of the doctors say to the other doctor, "Hey, are you going to be in Dallas at the Federation meeting?" And I went, Federation, a year apart. And I went, holy crap, what's going on here? So I got online, and it turned out that I was actually able to pay to go to it and get continuing medical education. So I said, okay. And off I went to Dallas, and we had another doctor there that helped me get in. And basically I watched this, first of all, a 5-star hotel, the most amazing food. I've been to a lot of medical conventions, but the incredible food, free books at the library. And then they were patting doctors on the back and saying, "Oh, you're so wonderful." And I'm like, holy mac. And then the last day, after they wine you and dine you at the luncheon, I sent you a thing, Michael, about the luncheon. And then they get one delegate from each of the 50 states on the board. One delegate gets to go into a velvet roped room with their own little desk and a little voting button. And up on the screen, these big screens, they put policy that the Federation had done for the year since the last meeting, and they vote on the policy. And I'm sitting back there in the bleachers going, wait a minute, this is a private organization, non-governmental. They can't make law. Well, they do. So what happens is then each state gets the same thing with their name on it, and they stamp it, and it becomes, so that's why everybody was being attacked the same way, you see, inside the United States. And now,
are there any links from the FSMB / the AHPRA to the World Health Organization, Bruce?
You by the way, you can't put any of this stuff up on the screen, can you, Mike? Because that's quite an interesting.
I've got some that you've got, so I'll go through.
Okay. Well, while he's talking about the World Health Organization, I think that the world.
There's this one. I just don't know if you can see it. This is consideration for the state medical boards.
Yeah. No. Okay. So I'll tell you. Let me tell you which email it was, if you don't mind.
Sure.
This is everybody out
one
there.
didn't work.
Okay, everybody, this is all ad lib here, so sorry. Okay, so it's the title is "That is the Rothschild Palace" on the subject line.
Yes.
Okay. I got to get back to you here. I don't forgot how to get that back to you. Oh God.
No, we can see you. You're all good.
Well, I can't see you.
Well, well, while you're looking at to get us back on screen, so I'll just summarize what you said there, Bruce. So what you're saying is the FSMB is setting a unified national policy in the United States of America to control all the medical boards in America, and they're also filtering that policy out through the other countries in the world via AHPRA.
Right.
And this is relevant to a lot of our listeners, Michael, because a lot of people want to know where these orders are coming from. So you're saying that the FSMB, which is based in Austin, is it in Texas? Is that right?
It's in Euless, Texas, outside of Dallas.
Outside of Dallas.
And there's another picture that I did there, Mike, that basically shows
bringing that up there. So there's the World Health Organization up in the right.
So this is
500
interesting.
meters away from the palace.
The Rothschild. The World Health Organization is basically 500 meters away from the Rothschild Palace in Geneva on Rothschild land.
Right.
So that's just Google Earth. Anybody can do that. Just type in the address to one and then type in the address to the other, and there they go. It just creeps over 500 meters. So and the other one, I'm not going to keep going back and forth, but I gave a shot there of the Federation. Mike, that has an aerial that shows that this they've tucked themselves away in a development of about 2,000 homes in Euless, Texas, completely hidden away in this development. It's fascinating. Anyway, so let's just get back to it. So this is a very clever. They have unlimited funds. We don't know really where the funds do, but I do have an IRS. IRS is an Internal Revenue Service. We do have copies of the 2017 their filings, and they spend $1 million a week, US dollars a week.
I don't know what you can see from that. That's the aerial shot. It's a bit small for our screens, I think, but. Yeah.
Okay, so you can see, so it's anyway, you can see that there's a massive thing, and over in the left lower corner is a tiny, that's the, and then you can, there's a, there are two large buildings there, 2-story buildings, and from there they have legal services that go out to the world's councils and give them legal advice so that they don't have to really spend too much effort. Literally, at least our medical council is so unimpressive in their abilities, and all of a sudden they come out with some really stunning legal arguments to knock us down and
so
put us
what
down.
you're suggesting is that world health policy regarding doctors is being set by this private Rockefeller organization in Dallas, Texas, and being replicated or parroted around the world.
And that's the only way. I mean, didn't you wonder why everything was happening in unison like it was? Of course. So as far as I can see, and I've been following these guys, I've been watching them for about 25 years now, because I found out about them and I can't undo what I saw. And so I didn't go public because, what's the point? But when the pandemic hit and I began to, and I sent you things, Michael, I'll just,
I've got some here. I just saw them as I was doing other things. Like I got the AHPRA officer's copy, FSMB policy statement.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to go through these other things as you're talking.
Yeah, well, it's okay. I can probably describe it. So the Federation tucks its head down and does its dirty work in pretty much, behind closed doors. But in, I guess it was April of 2021, I sent you the press release that they did around the world, basically saying doctors who spread misinformation and disinformation will be subject to disciplinary actions by their medical regulatory agencies. And I went,
that's the one that didn't work. It's all,
what's that?
That one didn't. It's all garbled on the thing, so that it must be that didn't work.
Anyway, it's all there. It's all documented. Nothing I'm saying right here as far as what's happened with the Federation is debatable. It's all there. So they come out with this statement. They say, basically, it was a battle cry sent out to the medical boards and medical regulatory agencies. Any doctors that disagree with the narrative, they're open game, right? So then in December, I sent you another one where they basically said 2/3 of medical boards have reported incidences of disinformation. We have to take this and we have to have policy. And then I sent you another one, a 12-page policy paper that then was presented in April of 2022 at the New Orleans. That's the policy paper. Anyway, so then the policy paper, like I told you before, back 25 years ago, that this is just the way they do it. I mean, they've been doing it for 110 years, right? So why would they change? The policy paper then is voted on and made into quote unquote law. And so
in 2021, Bruce, in Australia, we had our medical regulatory authority, AHPRA, issue a position statement, like a policy statement in March of 2021, stating that you could not criticize the government, you could not criticize the vaccine rollout, and that is why doctors like myself got suspended, lost their registration and their careers. And so what you're saying is that it's very coincidental that the same policy direction came from the FSMB/AHPRA around the same time.
It's not coincidental at all. They were told, go ahead. Now,
just to interrupt. So when we hear that APHRA is not a government agency, that you're always saying, William, that's because they're a part of this organization and they're making laws.
No. Let's be accurate. Let's be accurate, because we're being watched right now. I guarantee you.
Guarantee.
Yeah, no, I know that. Let's be accurate. The Federation is a member organization. The medical regulatory agencies pay an annual fee to be a member of this organization. So they're separate. Got it? Now, that's important. And it's the same with the state medical boards. The state medical boards are also, they pay, I think it's $10,000 a year to be a member. Well, let me tell you something. They got a lot of bang for that buck, I'll tell you. And for instance, that Bali thing you went to, that's just a typical way that they reward these, the medical members of board. They bring them in and they wine them and dine them. And I don't know how you got there. That's a pretty amazing thing. How did you get to the Bali?
Yeah, so in October of last year, I invited myself to the AHPRA conference in Nusa Dua, Bali,
There you go.
because I became aware of these organisations in the background that seemed to be influencing the AHPRA, the organisation in Australia that was limiting my freedom of speech and impacting so many patients and doctors in Australia. So I decided rather than protesting AHPRA all the time, I take it to the next level and protest directly the organisation behind AHPRA or who was directing AHPRA, AHPRA. And I went to Bali. I just signed up, paid my registration fees, attended the conference, and then on the last day, I
I've got the
interrupted
video.
the vice president and told them that their efforts to silence freedom of speech was finished.
So here's the video. Oops.
So you did the same thing I did, but 25 years later.
With a touch, with a touch of flair.
Let's see.
Here's the conference here, right here in Nusa Dua. So I just walked in, pretended that I was in the right place at the right time, and that this was all normal, and which was for me. I'd been doing a lot of protests at the time, and walked straight onto the stage and took over the show. Here we go.
Oh my God, this is fantastic.
Hello. Excuse me, my friend. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is the suspended Dr. William Bay from Queensland, Australia. I would like to finish this conference today by letting you know that AHPRA is over. There is no more regulation here, ladies and gentlemen. You have betrayed the trust of all people around this world because you were not honest with us with the COVID-19 vaccines. You see, I am an ethical doctor, not you, not the regulators, not AHPRA, not Heidi Otter. We are the people, and we declare AHPRA 2023 over in Jesus Christ's name. Amen. We are not complying. We will never comply. We believe in informed consent. We believe in the right to freedom of speech, and you will be judged. You cannot save the government or AHPRA, but you can save yourselves.
Oh, that is so great. That made my nipples hard.
We actually want to come up with that yearly award called the Billy Bay Balls Award for who does the most ballsiest protest of the year.
I am
dedicated to this guy.
I am duly impressed.
That's good, Bruce. Would you believe the next day I attended the breakfast buffet with all the AHPRA delegates, and I actually met the chair of the FSMB, Dr. Jeffrey Carter, and had a meal with him, and he was very surprised that I was there. He said, "Aren't you supposed to be in jail?" And I said, "Yeah, I thought I might be as well, but we're here anyway." And I said, "Whilst I've got you, Jeff, can I ask you a question? Why are you so evil? Because I'm trying to fight for informed consent, and it seems that you are the complete antithesis of me and all who I represent. So why are you trying to kill my patients with this so-called vaccine?" And he said, "William, that's a long story. I'll have to tell it to you one day." And he never did.
By the way,
Wow.
Carter was also
Wow.
with Hank Chaudhry, the president, and Joan Simeon in Geneva with Tedros, the three of them.
Right.
Yep.
Well, I understand that they've signed a memorandum of understanding, an MOU between Tedros and Gates, World Health Organization, and AHPRA. So now all orders coming from Gates get filtered through AHPRA into smaller countries like Australia to AHPRA, and we get told what to do, or the doctors and nurses get told what to do by Gates now, effectively. Is that right?
Well, Gates is a puppet. Gates is a puppet. They put him
Well,
up
the
there.
rabbit hole goes deeper.
Yeah. No. You don't even pay. He's like he's non-compass menace, that guy. The point is that the Gates Foundation accepts, and without revealing where the money's coming from. You see,
right.
So anyway, wow, good on you. That was amazing. I was going to go there, and that would have been fun to do it together, but I had too many things to do. So the point is that. Yeah, you've uncovered them, William. You've uncovered them by your own means. I guess you didn't listen to me with Liz Gunn back. Did you see my Liz Gunn interview back almost 2 years ago now? That's when I came out.
Right.
That's it's got 500,000 views now. But the point is that we sat and did a fireside chat, and I just basically said, this is the way it is. And interestingly enough, I was being attacked at the time by my medical counsel for helping patients with ivermectin. And I got a letter. After that video came out, I got a quick letter from them saying, hey, we have concerns about this video you did. And I said, yeah, well, I'll come right in. I'll come on in and I'll talk about those concerns. And, to the board, because then I said, all the medical board members now have to watch the video from Liz Gunn. But they said, no, we're going to just give that to your professional conduct committee meeting, which is coming up. I said, good, at least somebody's going to. They didn't talk about it at all. Don't. So I'm sure what happened was that they jumped the gun, didn't get permission from the Federation to do that. And we're told, hey, don't talk about it. They don't want to talk about it because you are pulling back. You know who was the most? Did you ever watch The Wizard of Oz?
Yeah.
Everybody, all your audience maybe has seen The Wizard of Oz. Okay, here's the question. Who is the most important character in The Wizard of Oz, without which character it wouldn't have gone very far?
The man behind the curtain.
You're getting close.
Mm.
Toto pulled back the screen.
Right.
While everybody was trembling with the big, fierce, I am the Oz, Toto goes like, what the hell's over there? And he pulls back the screen and reveals.
That's so clever.
It's called the Toto effect. I coined that. So
Wow.
Don't be afraid. Don't sit there and quiver. Find out who the hell is doing this. Who's
Can
behind
I
this?
ask you a question straight up just
Yeah.
about ivermectin? Because this broke today. Michael Yeadon has come out now and said that ivermectin is basically destroying fertility around the world.
Yeah, that's the biggest. That's the newest. That's the newest AI probably generated thing. Listen.
Oh, you reckon it's AI generated? Because that's the thing. It's so hard to know what's real anymore.
Oh yeah, you know, guys, we are in really, really difficult territory now with AI. Let me tell you. I mean, I got a meme today that says this guy, he's behind bars and he says, an AI got me for murder. I was. So the point is that so anyway, I tend to get tangential, and it just reel me back because the point is that we have the root of the Federation. Got it? Is when allopathic medicine was created by Rockefeller and his cohorts there, and they had to get rid of the competition. You see, the competition was homeopathy, Samuel Hahnemann, and natural medicine. They had, I believe it was 2,000 training institutions in the United States back at the turn of the century that Carnegie, friend of Rockefeller, commissioned Abraham Flexner, to go and check out these other ones. And he wiped out all but 150 schools out of 2,000. He wiped them out because they black magic, but really because they were doing homeopathy and they were doing natural stuff, and they wanted to get their patented medicine out there. And so there was
more than that. Is it also a case that the patented medication doesn't actually get people better? It just like keeps them here, where homeopathy was actually curing people?
Well, that's it. Yeah. Exactly. And the point is that if you, I'm going to tell all the readers there, all your watchers, that one of the most impressive interviews I just watched came out last week with Tucker Carlson with Dr. Means, Means, and her husband. Check it out. They unravel the whole thing about how, and I've lectured in front of thousands of people, and I say to the crowd, I say, look, if I had a magic wand here, I pick up a pen. I say, this is a magic wand, and I could wave it over this crowd, and you would never be anything but totally healthy and totally energy right until you're 100 years old, and then you just pass away peacefully with everybody around you. they would kill me because disease is the thing that pays. Wellness doesn't pay. I had 1 hour of nutrition in 4 years. Most doctors still are getting 1 hour in medical school, and that's it. I had to retrain myself. I had completely retrained. I had to go and sit at the
I just interject there? Sorry, Doc. William,
Yep.
Tell them when you were doing your training, how much education in vaccines did you do?
We got nothing in vaccines, Bruce, because in the vaccine lecture by the professor, I sat at the front row to hear what he had to say because I was quite vaccine skeptic going into medical school. And the professor stood up and said that we do not need to talk about vaccines whatsoever today because everybody already knows that they're the greatest things since sliced bread. So let's just move on. And I was so disappointed and frustrated and lost my faith in vaccines from that moment on, really.
And Dr. Bay, tell them when in your medical training did they get you to line up and pledge the Hippocratic Oath?
Yeah, I never was afforded the opportunity to take the oath. I'm not aware of any of my contemporary colleagues taking the oath. I think the Hippocratic Oath has been erased from Australian medical schools anyway. And so I think that's one way they broke down the morals and the will of the Australian health practitioners when this COVID crisis came, because so many of my colleagues had not taken an oath to defend their patients or the truth or medical ethics. They just buckled under the pressure of the financial coercion that AHPRA put on us by telling us to toe the line.
Yeah, well, good on you. But and the thing is that back to what I was saying is that doctors, medical doctors, allopathic doctors are not. And osteopathic, that's a whole other story, how they pulled the osteopathic profession in the United States in to make them be able to write drugs. But the point is that, as I said, disease pays, wellness doesn't pay. And so you don't want, we're being trained to be basically drug pushers to push the product of our pharmaceutical. In the Liz Gunn interview, I talk about my first week in medical school after getting in, out of 72 applicants, one made it. So, it was like you're in a really exclusive club here. And I went to the second oldest medical school in the United States. And so we're at Doc Watson's in Philadelphia across the street, and we're having a drink, three new freshmen. And we had just been given these nice black leather bags that had Eli Lilly, a drug company, on it. And we had stethoscope with Eli Lilly and a reflex hammer with Eli Lilly. And anyway, so we're in there at Doc Watson's, right? And congratulating each other for finally getting to medical school. And this spiffy young guy comes up, he's like, "Hey, I'm Joe. I'm from Eli Lilly. How'd you like those bags, doctor?" I said, "Oh, yeah, they were cool. And how'd you, yeah, really good. Thank you very much." He said, "Look," he says, "I like you guys. And there's a 5-star French restaurant down there, Le Bec Fin." "Well, yeah, we know the Le Bec Fin. Yeah. Well, I've got an expense account. That's the three of us. Let's all go to dinner. You can get anything you want. Wine on the thing, my treat." And I just went, "Oh, wait a minute. There it is. That's the prostitution. That's the dance right there." And I didn't go. So the point is,
what was the effect of that when you didn't go? Were they
No, I just said, "No, I'm not interested." But the point is that it's kind of like watching the 9/11 towers fall. There's a certain percent of people, particularly Building 7. There's a particular sense of, there's like 10% of population, and I'm one of them, that looked at that and said, "That's not right."
Mm-hmm. Even the mainstream media at the time said that would look like a controlled demolition.
Yeah.
I said it fell down 20 minutes before it actually fell down.
That's right.
Yeah.
BBC.
So I think what we're talking about here, it's called corruption. And I think it's also called capture. The medical councils have been captured. The ones that are members of AHPRA and, of course, the Federation of State Medical Boards. And, Liz Gunn, you know Liz, don't you, Michael?
Hey, yeah. Well, good mate.
Yeah. So I didn't know Liz. She just invited me to this thing, so I didn't know who Liz Gunn was. And we're talking, and we're 5 minutes into this talk, right? And she stops and she looks at the camera and she says, Dr. Dooley, tell the audience that you don't have any suicidal intent. I'm like, no, I'm the happiest guy in the world, is it? And she turned to the camera and said, and I don't have any suicidal intent. And that night at dinner, I said, you know, Liz, you've done a lot of interviews. Have you ever asked anybody whether they want to commit suicide? She goes, no, but I knew where we were going with what you were talking about. So, you know, I'm just like,
I'm pretty happy too. How about you, William? I'm pretty good.
I will take down APHRA before I take down myself.
Yeah. You know, at this point in time, guys, we are so close to losing what I love. My dad was a physician. What I love about medicine, we're so close to losing it to basically this, 15-minute algorithm that, basically ends up with the drug, or a lot of times. And these GPs.
What do you love about medicine?
What?
Just go back, just to know some more color. What do you love about medicine? What did your father love about medicine? And by watching him, what made you want to follow him?
Well, well, first of all, let me just say that I'm 72. So, when I was 8, we're talking about the 60s, right? 52. No, we're talking, beginning of 60s. And my dad and all of his friends were pretty much doctors, and in Pennsylvania, and they were captains of their ship. There was no insurance. There was no medical. There was no private insurance. That was it. They were the captains of their ship. I mean, if they'd be turning into graves right now, seeing what these guys are trying to coerce us to do, avoid informed consent, etc. Anyway, so to answer your question, the beauty of if you will, merging with a patient in a trust situation where they will tell you, if you ask them, if you take the time to ask them. I spend an hour with my patients, if you ask them, like, seriously, is your marriage happy? How are your kids? Are you eating well? And are you sleeping? I mean, this is one of the first questions I ask. Are you getting good sleep? And basically, in medical school, well, of course, in medical school, when we were training to do our history and physical, they gave us 2 hours with the patient. So you do social history, family history. Remember that one, William? Yeah, how you did. And of course, that went out the window. But the point is that I was asked the other day at another interview. I can't remember why I'm doing so many of these. They said, "Well, how would you describe the basis of integrative medicine? What you do, which is what we're being attacked for?" And I said, "Well, it really just starts with looking the patient in the eye and saying, 'Hey, how are you? How can I help you?' And from that point forward, if you really are engaged and you connect with not the computer screen, not the algorithm, but the patient, and you have the time to do it, that's the other thing too, you will be healing. And that's what I love so much about it." So they answer your question.
Almost like a spiritual connect. Because I know when all this was happening, the one thing I kept saying, I've said to you, William, for people that aren't doctors, what we want from our doctors is someone who we can trust to tell us the truth.
Yeah.
You're going to die, or you're going to this, whatever it is, even if it's a good thing, bad thing, you're going to get diabetes, but tell us the truth. There's one person in society who will have the moral fortitude to tell you their truth. And that's gone now. Now there's the doctor, the government, and APHRA, and us, and that's gone. Well,
and the thing is, I have never worked for anybody. I've always built my own medical centers. I was an emergency doc, so I guess I did early. But the point is that I was my paycheck never came from anybody but myself. So I didn't have to dance to the tune when I came here in New Zealand, and I finally got my registration, which I don't know whether I'm happy I did that or not. But the point is that all of a sudden I realized that the paycheck for these doctors comes from the government.
Yeah.
Hello. Well, that's a problem, because if the government is saying, you know, you got to do this, and you go, well, no, screw you. Oh, bye-bye. Well, it's just what happened when people decided, a few doctors decided not to get jabbed and also or stood up and spoke up, like Peter Canaday, is an amazing guy who, you know, went all the way to tribunal, 2 years of all this beating, and he's American and really an amazing guy. They're all amazing, actually. Basically, at the end of all of this, there was nothing that he said in a 2,000-page testimonial to this to the tribunal that they said was wrong. They admitted that. You know what they said? They got him because he brought disrepute to the profession.
Wow.
Oh, that's it. That was the charge.
Can I ask you another question? Dr. William Bay has been raked through the coals for years. I'm interviewing another doctor coming up, Dr. Jareth, who's had 5 years being suspended now. Dr. Hobart was publicly raked through the coals. Dr. Miley, all these doctors, are they doing that, like being excessively cruel to doctors they go up against in order to scare other doctors from standing up? Look what will happen to you if you decide to be a doctor sticking up your Hippocratic Oath. We'll do a William Bay on you, or we'll do a Hobart, or a Dr. Borshot, or a Dr. House.
They're just making the other doctors cower, and you know, gosh, I don't know really where people have asked me how could these doctors have not spoken up, and you know, I'm a kind of a self-made man, so you know, I don't really do medicine I don't depend on the income. I do it because I like it, really. That's the problem. You know, you got these young doctors, they've got a mortgage, they've got a wife, they wants to go shopping, and kids, they need to have, you know, go to private school or whatever it is that the car payments, they've got this nut that they've got to pay at the end of every month. And they look at that and they go, you know, but I really don't even think about it. You know, talk to your wife. Don't even think about it, honey. You know, I get it. This is coercion and evil coercion that went around the world. Well, not only just the doctors. I mean, you know, it just went everywhere. We don't need to even go down that rabbit hole because it's, you know, we're still in the middle of it. But the fact is that people need to wake up. They just need to say, they need to realize that governments and medicine and so many of the things have just been co-opted and coerced, corrupted, and taken over by unlimited money, by the way, unlimited money. And that's really the whole thing about this, is that we, when you have the media controlled like it is, then it's, you know, Thomas Jefferson, you remember Jefferson, he was in my medical school, actually. Jefferson was an amazing guy. If you read his life history, he was one of the Constitution, Declaration of Independence signers. And he said something that was really very powerful. And he said that information is the currency of a democracy. Think about that for a second. The currency of a democracy is information. If does everybody agree with that? And then where are we getting our information? Right?
One source.
So we don't have a democracy at all.
No,
I mean, not at all.
Oh, I don't know where William's come, which explains why in Europe now they're working like crazy to destroy Twitter, because Elon Musk is giving the people information. They're spreading it amongst themselves. They're getting power. From power, they get hope. From hope, they get courage. They could recreate the world. So the powerful have to shut Twitter down. They control the rest, you know?
Yeah, he's you know, of course, again, the disinformation that's out there. And it's like you want to get a vomit bag when you see these guys coming after doctors for misinformation and disinformation, when the media and politicians, and it's just all of disinformation. And, you know, we're out here trying to tell the truth, and being told we're misinformation. We're talking about this, and I honestly got to tell you that that I feel that we're at this apex, this quiver point that guys like Elon Musk, this guy spent, what was it, $50 billion, something close to $50 billion out of his pocket
or something, yeah,
to buy Twitter and make it open. I mean, that's a pretty unbelievable thing to do. He should be the hero of the world, but he's, of course,
he's my hero.
I really admire him. I had Easter dinner in Palm Beach with Donald Trump when he had been in 2016, when he because I had my clinic in Palm Beach, and I got to tell you that it was in Palm Beach near Mar-a-Lago at his country club, and he sat down with me and he said, "It's really interesting. He's a really interesting guy. He's just charismatic. He connects with you." And I had patients that worked at Mar-a-Lago, his big home there, who worked out. And when they did lunch on the beach outside, he would come down and bring sandwiches to them personally, and say, "How you doing?" So anyway, he's talking to me, and he says, "Well, what is this complementary alternative medicine?" He's drinking his Coca-Cola, and I tell him, and then he looks at me very intently. Now, this was 2016, right? By the way, he didn't think he was going to win. I could tell. I know people. I can read people. I think he just wanted to get out and talk about the swamp. And Hillary Clinton was like a shoo-in. Remember? It was going to be, she was going to win. So he was just, as a businessman, he wanted to get out there. Anyway, he looks at me. He leans across the table, our dinner table, and he goes, "What do you think about the World Health Organization?" And I go, "Well, just a bunch of overpaid bureaucrats." I didn't know anything at the time. He knew, because when he got into office, remember, he took the United States out of the World Health Organization. And one of the first things that whoever's behind Biden did when Biden got in was to reinstate membership in the World Health. So the membership of countries in World Health Organization very much is similar to the medical board's membership in the Federation. They're just as similar as can be, you see? And so the member countries go to, and then they told what to do by the World Health Organization, and they do it. And the medical board councils and boards, they go to the Bali meetings, and they go to all their annual meetings in the States, and they're told, this is what a good doctor is. This is what a bad doctor is. And I was actually, they were recording these sessions that I went to in Dallas, and then in Georgia, in Georgia. So anyway, they were recording it, and they were on stage. One of the guys was on stage who worked at the it was one of the head guys there, and he looks at the group and he says, "Have any of you docs out there been able to get these chelation therapy docs?" Which is what I was doing, of course. And he goes, there's silence. He goes, "Yeah." He says, we were able to get our guy because he was distributing this black salve, and there was a big ha ha ha. And I thought, holy shit. So I got the tape, and I went to the top class action law firm suite in the world. They have 4,000 lawyers in Miami. They had a branch in Miami, and I played this tape, and I said, "This is mafia. This is racketeering. This is Sherman antitrust." And the guy goes, "Yeah, I think you're right." I said, "Well, let's go. Let's get them. I can get all these doctors together that have been beaten up by their medical boards." And he goes, He says, "We got to find out how if we're going to get paid for this." And that was the end of it. So I came that close to, saying, right, this is not right. And that was back in 2000. I testified at as you met in the beginning, at the White House Commission, where for a year they had the most amazing people they brought together talking about complementary alternative medicine, diet, nutrition, prevention, longevity, all these things that were, and the end report from a year, and they traveled the country too. I testified in Washington, D.C., but at the end of the year, they published a paper on their findings. This is the White House Commission on Comprehensive Health Medicine. It is unbelievable what they're saying in there. They basically said, if the United States government would switch over to this natural, all these, we brought them in from acupuncture, physicians, everything. If they would switch over to this, the health of the United States would skyrocket. Do you know what? I can't find that online. I can't find anything about the White House Commission online. It's been erased. A year's worth of work, 19 members on the board, on the count, on whatever they call it, the commission. It's gone. So that's where we are, guys. That's the first time I've ever said that in public, by the way. That's the first time that's gone out. But
so we've got here.
Yeah.
Just backing up for you've been here. We're processing this. We have. I mean, we don't even have a health system. They hide under the word health, but we have predators who are making so much money they literally forget money. It's making so much out of making people sick and keeping them sick. Like my mum was diagnosed with Parkinson's years after being on something called Lipitor or something, which apparently gives parking-like systems. She used to be healthy all the time. She's been incredibly unhealthy on tons of drugs. But she's a pharmaceutical junkie. And now she's terrified to give them up. She doesn't know what they are. And she's making them a fortune. I've interviewed vaccine-injured people all over the country. They get no help from the government. Most of them are up to $100,000 now in paying for the medication, which is not making them any better, to deal with the injury they got from the vaccine supposed to be safe and effective, which was bullshit. So it's just like foxes in charge of the hen house.
Yeah.
And if any chicken stands up and goes, that's a fox, they're going, oh, conspiracy theorist, what are you doing? Misinformation. No, Henrietta's hanging out of his fucking mouth. That's a fox, mate, and he's going to eat you next. But they can't hear it for some reason. They can't hear it.
I was really, I came into New Zealand in 1996. So I've been here 25 years. And I had this impression that the Kiwis were these, they just fought off the Navy and no nuclear ships, and the Rainbow Warrior, and then the Springbok demonstration that happened here. And I thought, wow, these Kiwis are really tough. They're really, and they just rolled over. I think the Aussies the same way too. They just rolled over, and I'm like, holy crap, what happened? What happened to these people that I thought, and lockdowns and all this kind of stuff, and masks? And
the only thing they fought in Australia, they fought for toilet paper. So if you want Australians to fight for anything, be it their children or their constitution, wrap it in toilet paper and you got a chance. And the other thing they fought was anybody who stood up against the government, who just had questions.
Just questions.
That's it. We had questions. What's in it? Why should I take it? What happened to freedom of choice? Informed consent.
What happened? What happened to scientific debate? We were never allowed, and we started New Zealand Docs SOS. We started them back in I think late 2021. So came on board, and Peter Canaday, the one I told you about, he was going around with Voices for Freedom, which is another big group that started here out of that, and basically, we kept asking, look, just let us talk about it. Bring your best. Give us and we'll put them together at a table, and we'll just have a debate. No, there was no debate. And think about it. I mean, it was really I just lectured, not lectured. I gave a talk two weekends ago in Nelson, to about 100 people for Voices for Freedom people. And I started to talk, and I said, I and acknowledge all of you for what you've done, but I also want you to understand that all of us have a certain amount of PTSD from these last 3 years. You have to admit it. You have to just look inside yourself and say, I have this affected me. And there's no way that nobody could have escaped the last 3 years without being emotionally and spiritually and psychically affected. Do you agree with me or not? Am I making that up? Or
I can tell you today, even today, right? Like today,
Yeah.
Senator Babette is in the Senate here, trying to allow babies who are born, who survive an abortion, who are alive, and there's about one a week that survives, that they are allowed medical care, even if it's just pain relief. And 30-something plus senators said no, they can't have it, which to me is just evil. It's evil. There's no other way. It's absolute pure evil. You're a doctor and this baby's here and it's breathing. It's survived. It's even its own parents trying to kill it and it's still here breathing. You're just going to leave it there to die? Seriously? That's where we live now? That's the moral foundation of this country? And then I'm doing a documentary about Dazzle. We've started this because someone wants us to do one. We're starting working on it. And the deeper we go into that story, the more shocking it is, because basically Dazzle is the same as one of those babies. She said she needed a double lung transplant, and she said no, she didn't want to take the COVID vaccine to take the transplant, which was no mandate that required it. It was just the transplant doctors saying no, which makes you wonder where they got orders from somewhere else. So for the last 6 months of her life, she sat in this room with so many Australians praying that the hospital or the doctors would remember that they're supposed to save life and change their tune, and they didn't. They sat back and they watched her die. Even the nurses used to look after her, and we know that too. If you want to talk to us, come on. You came in, you looked after her, you took your blood pressure, you took this, but you did nothing to try help her survive. You know, you could have had a big strike in the hospital. There's so much we do. This is where we are now. If the children don't comply, we let them die. People are basically, you're an asset or you're a liability. And if you go against the government, you're a liability. Doesn't matter if you're a doctor or a professor, like Dr. Pierre Corre just lost his registration. I've met CEOs from companies that have lost everything. I've met ordinary people who have lost everything. All of them suffered simply because they had questions and they didn't want to give up their freedom of choice. And now you become a liability in this community. And that's why I think people know it. And because so many people out there are just abject cowards or selfish, they want to hold on to their own stuff, F the country, they're basically destroying everything that made both our countries, New Zealand and Australia, the best countries in the world. Simply
I'm
the
telling
best.
you,
We had a moral foundation that the rest of the world wanted to reach and have a taste of, and we're giving it all away to this. Yes,
that's right.
That's
money is the root of all evil.
Yeah, that's a very interesting perspective, Michael, because you're Australian. You're born there, right? You're native.
Wales. No, I was born in Wales, but look, England's the same. Yeah, but I've been here since I was 5 and £10 pom. You know.
Yeah.
Although the government probably wants their £10 back now, with interest.
Well, you know, basically, sometimes I feel like I'm at the Alamo, or the Alamo wasn't really a good example, but the point is that for medicine, we're at the cusp of losing it. We really are. These GPs that are still so pumped up with themselves, you know, because that's what medical school does. It pumps you up, and I'm a doctor. And the other thing that they don't have is any other talents that they can do if they're not a doctor. And that's, of course, what the medical boards and councils rely on, because they scare the shit out of them. It's like, holy crap. I mean, they take away this paper and I can't make any, I'm destitute. That's interesting, isn't it? Well, anyway.
Well, we have Barbara O'Neill. You know, we've been doing some work with her, and she basically alternative therapies. That she's you know, she's a voice for alternative therapies around the world. She's like a rock star. Fills halls with thousands of people. In Australia, they banned her under the threat of jail if she lectures in Australia. She's Australian, and if she lectures about alternative therapies here, from castor oil to whatever.
What?
They'll throw this 72-year-old, I think she's 70 plus. Sorry, I've got the wrong Barbara. They'll throw her in jail. One of the world's most
Wow.
popular alternative therapies things. She's not allowed to practice in this country. And she got the ban because she said to a woman who said, if I can't breast milk, is there another milk I can give my baby rather than formula? And she suggested goat milk. Now, around the world, lots of people feed their kids goat milk, from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Greece, everywhere. And they banned her for that, saying that is deadly to babies, and that's it. So that's how she is. This is where we live now, and people can't see it because they can't see past their mortgage.
They can't see the prison
They
bars.
want to have a mortgage.
They can't see the prison bars.
No.
And anyway, back to where I like the way we're weaving this tour de force conversation here. But the point is that these puffed up, self-important, it's done on purpose, and they don't realize how close they are to being replaced by AI, like that,
Right. Yeah.
like that. The AI algorithm, bam, and all they need to do now is connect the law to say that AI can write a prescription to the pharmacy. It's done. Bye-bye, GPs. We don't need you anymore. You're just a nuisance
Can
anyway.
we just start something here? So, as I was saying, I was traveling the country during the lockdowns. We interviewing people in every town. And I just want to play the video that got, and APHRA has actually transcribed this video. Isn't that correct, William?
Yes, they have.
Yeah. And so this is William introducing himself to me. And this was live across Australia. This is when APHRA covered all their iPhones with coffee. Here we go. Tambourine Mountain. And we have here, who do we have here, sir?
Dr. William Bay, freedom fighter, Christian, and man ready to go all the way.
It breaks my heart that we have doctors having to do this in this day and age. Where we are is incredible.
True, but I think it's our responsibility. We are the profession that has been trusted for the health of our patients, and we have broken that trust, in my opinion, by not standing up for our patients, not standing up in the right way, Michael. And so I'm here today to restore the faith in the medical profession by exposing the truth about this situation to you and your listeners today.
Okay. Well, let's get going. Make sure this is going. Whoa. Okay, give me a moment. This is huge.
Yep.
Let's begin.
Okay, so my name is Dr. William Bay. I am the leader of the Queensland People's Protest, QPP.life, and we've been protesting today at Mount Tamborine as part of our State Undemocracy Tour to spread freedom in Queensland, because we are sick of the mandates. We are tired of the state of emergency. It has been 865 days of a state of emergency, 2 years, 4 months and 14 days of tyranny in this state, and we are not backing down. We will not give in, and we will persist until we win, because we value our human rights, Michael.
I totally concur, but I absolutely admire your bravery. Do you want to continue?
I do. It may be brave, but it's just the right thing to do. I saw your broadcast recently with Marie. Hi, Marie. I met her at one of the People's Revolutions rallies recently. They too have been protesting strongly for freedom in Queensland. And it touched me the tragedy that so many of people you've interviewed have been hurt by the vaccines, have been impacted not just by the vaccines, but by the mandates and all the restrictions that have been placed onto them. And my heart bleeds for them, Michael. My heart bleeds for you that have been worked for 90 days traveling around this country, listening to people and listening to the truth. And I saw you say on that day, what can we do? Well, I'm here to tell you, don't give up. None of us are giving up today, and I don't want you giving up, because I'm here to provide hope for you. I'm here to provide hope for the Queensland people by saying this to you. This is my registration. This is my card. Dr. William Bay, MED, APHRA number 00096, whatever one it is. It looks a little bit out of date because it is. They've gone digital these days, like everything else. You can keep that, Michael, because after what I'm about to say now, that will be the end for me. Because today is probably going to be the last day that I can use the word doctor in front of my name, because AHPRA screw you. I don't care what you do to me. I don't care what you do to my family. I have God in my heart and he will protect me, because I'm here to tell the people of Australia now on your show that the vaccine is killing them. The vaccine is killing you. It is harming you. And as a doctor, as the power invested in me as a general practitioner, registrar, in the state of Queensland, and as a freedom fighter and a man of God, I am telling you, Queensland people in Australia, that the vaccine is harming you.
Wow. Wow.
So, doctors, join with me around Australia. I am standing today. I don't care if they take my registration. I don't care if they take my money. Stand with me now. Stand with Michael, my friend, and all these good people here today, and stand up for what oath you took, which is to care for your patients, to care for the people around you, and never give in, and we will win.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. Wow. That's amazing. Holy crap. Wow. Gosh. Well, I'm honored to be here
I'm going
with
to
you.
post that on my Twitter and
William.
everything else. If you want to go find it on Twitter, for it goes from there. I was actually
Yeah.
the most useless interviewer then. I think he thought I was going to ask him lots of questions, and all I was doing was trying not to cry and just look at him and
Yeah.
his bravery. Even now, I'm
You know-
tearing up thinking.
You know what
astonishing
flashed
moment in my
before?
life for him.
You know what flashed before my eyes when I was watching that, because I obviously had not seen it before. But did you ever see the end scenes in Braveheart when Mel Gibson's on he's being stretched and he goes, "Freedom!" Sorry,
Yeah.
I mean, no, let's cancel the thing with you, William. But no, seriously, that's the kind of leaders that really do make a difference, and God bless you, man. God bless you.
Well, to everybody's credit, since that day, Michael and others have persisted and have continued the fight for freedom despite all the immense sacrifices and cost to everybody's finances and personal relationships. So we're still here, 2 years or more later, and we've just got to keep going, because inevitably, if we keep standing up for what is right and what is true, we will win, I believe.
Have you ever heard of a woman named Elizabeth Kubler-Ross?
Yes.
She wrote
No.
she wrote a book on people basically when they die, basically the near-death experience, and they come back. So near-death, NDE, near-death experience. I'll get to why I'm telling you this, because every one of these people that we're interviewing, there's also Dr. Moody did a book on his near-death experience to talk to people. Almost every one of those that reaches a certain point in their transition from this life on has to go through a life review. And that life review is about what you did in this lifetime, or the evils that you did, or what you didn't say, what you were fair. And so God bless you. You're going to have a great life review, I can tell you.
Thank you.
Yep.
He's done astonishing things since then. The most astonishing thing was the people who see the show know this, but he was arrested for protesting outside APHRA in Brisbane, and I was heading there. But by the time I got there, they'd already arrested him, and he was in jail, and they kept him in the lockup overnight, barefoot. Floor was covered in feces and urine, and they're just trying to break him. And we had a small group of his followers, and me were there in the morning, and we're in court, and we're sitting there and waiting for him to come in. And this old copper comes up, or whoever, the court people, and says, "Oh, you might as well go. He's gone." And we like, "He's gone." "Yeah, he signed the bail conditions and left." And we were like, "William signed the bail conditions?" "No, we don't think so." And we went and sat back down. And we did that out of faith. We didn't know. We didn't have any evidence. But I had faith that I knew William and that William would not do that. So I just sat back down and thought, no, I don't believe it. And we sat there. And then William came out. And I swear that the light was on him. He came out. He was standing upright as this. It was just a beautiful moment. And I've been surrounded by so many other Australians. I've been surrounded by so much cowardice. But amongst that, there we have this incredibly beautiful, vibrant, defiant, entrepreneurial freedom movement. And so I live within giants. I just go around documenting giants. And William is one of the biggest giants I've ever documented. Him and, say, Dr. Oosterhouse and a few others, and not just doctors, all these other people. I'm sorry if I've forgotten you. But there were certain moments there where I thought, I'm in a historical moment here as a spectator. And in the future, they'll look back and they'll
No,
go, this was
you're more than a spectator. You're more than a spectator. Don't. You are the transmitter. And so thanks God for you that we have you and Liz Gunn and other people who are, and go to the top, Tucker Carlson, in my estimation. He's got an audience of millions. Okay. Yeah. And so every morning I get up and I psychically put a white light around him for protection. And also Elon, I think, we're talking about,
Joe Rogan too.
Yeah, Joe Rogan. Yeah. So the point is that thank you, Michael. I mean, this is the first time I've met you, really, except for that show. But we all are in this war. It's a war, and it's an asymmetrical war. It's definitely an asymmetrical war. And the only voice we have left. Remember, currency information is the currency of democracy. The only thing left is the internet, and we have to be really watching carefully because they're making every attempt they can to try. Well, they did obviously with Twitter, and that's why Elon brought it back. And even when they're caught, as red-handed as everybody's being caught, nobody goes to jail. So this is the other thing gets frustrating because obviously. You make an example of somebody and then everybody else can come in and either whistle blow or they're not going to do it anymore. But if nobody is held accountable for all these thousands and millions of deaths, 20 million, I think has been, if nobody's held accountable after this thing, if Jacinda Ardern and Bloomy, who knew, by the way, he knew, we actually know, this is a fact, folks. In February 26, 2021, right? MedSafe had made up their mind that they were not going to accept the Pfizer vaccine. And they told this guy, Clive James, to tell Australia, who had just approved it based on basically nothing, really. As we know now, the evidence was totally negative. And so MedSafe here, our agency, MedSafe, literally made the right decision and said, no, we're not going to do it. And guess what? They gave it to this Medical Assessment Advisory Committee, MAAC, who 2 days after that, March 1st, said, without any extra evidence or anything that MedSafe had to look at, they said, approve it. And they did. So I did an Official Information Act. I did an OAA on them 2022. And I got back. I said, I want to know who they are. I want to know who they're affiliated with. Who are these people? How many are there? Who is this MAAC? They wrote back, the government wrote back, Ministry of Health said, well, we can't tell you for security purposes. Take it to the ombudsman. So I took it to the ombudsman. 2 months later, to my shock, the ombudsman says, I have to agree with the Ministry of Health. We can't tell you who the MAAC is. To this day, we don't know, 3 years later, who was behind this curtain made the decision. Think about that.
Extraordinary.
Extraordinary.
Well, Dr. William Bay, when he's been taking them to court, I don't even want to think of the bill he has for that. But you went to the human rights lawyers, didn't you, William? Remember they told you this wasn't, what did they tell you?
So I think you're referring to the case in the Supreme Court with another matter when the human rights lawyers said that it's not a matter of human rights anymore, and it's not relevant. So in my matter, I've had the human rights part of it taken out because I just didn't feel that there was I had any faith in the system left to fight for that, because unfortunately, people just acknowledge these days, Michael, that the truth is not wanted. We don't care about the truth. We just want to be left alone. We want our own little lives. And if there's tyranny everywhere, then we're just going to accept it. My patients, my colleagues, my friends, my family, to a large degree, are all taking the safe road. They're trying to comply their way out of tyranny, but that's not the way. We must fight back peacefully, politically, and persuasively to reclaim our human rights and our love of freedom. Otherwise, we're all going to find out in a very bad and evil way that you cannot have safety or physical health if you don't have psychological and spiritual health first. That is freedom. We must have freedom as the basis of society. I'm so sick and tired of the government saying the first responsibility of the government is to make people safe. No, it's not. The first and maybe only responsibility of government is to protect the freedoms that society is based upon. That should be their purpose, not to lock us in cages.
Well,
Can I ask you, Doctor? Sorry.
Yeah.
Just because
Which
you said
doctor?
just because you read people, from what we're seeing here, like I'm staying in Melbourne at the moment. I live in a bus. I see Melbourne as communist, and what I mean by actually communist in the point of Stalin when he had the terror. Now, when you had the terror, he'd basically get one evening and say, okay, kill 1,000 people and put 1,000 people in a gulag. Well, now that 1,000 people is the people who are dying from vaccine injuries, who are just dropping dead. We hear it all the time. My father just dropped dead. This person dropped. They're the ones that have been executed. The ones who have been vaccine injured and forgotten about, no one cares about them, long COVID, all this, they're the gulags. That, in that. And then around them, when I was watching the documentaries on Stalin, the thing that really haunted me was saying, even though that was going on, when you went to Moscow, everyone was getting blissfully happy as though nothing was going wrong. And that's what I see in Australia. People just going around their days publicly, there's nothing wrong, and yet everything is wrong. And they won't talk about anything that matters. If they recognize me, usually they shy away. Our bus is covered in all sorts of freedom paraphernalia. I see grown men look at it like this. Like, oh my God, I got infected by freedom. That's how I see it. And it hasn't been declared yet by the government, but the people are already bringing it in themselves through cowardice and trying to comply their way to the promised land. Are you seeing that too, or am I just too far down the rabbit hole? All I see is communism.
Well, that's really interesting you say that, because my beautiful Russian wife, Ina, and our 14-year-old daughter are in our apartment in Moscow right now. And so Ina was born in 1970 in Stalin, Russia. Was it Stalin by then? No, it was Khrushchev. But guess what? The Russian people actually have fondness for Stalin. So and so everything, you have to look through everything through prisms and this incredible disinformation, history rewriting. When you're married to a Russian who is incredibly smart, and really knows Russian history, and you then begin to realize that the Bolshevik Revolution was from Wall Street. It was Trotsky was put up in Rockefeller's penthouse in New York before he went in and stirred up the Bolshevik Revolution and shot the Nicholas II and his wife, and they bayoneted their kids, all their children in a basement. That started the Bolshevik Revolution. And then they went on to kill hundreds of thousands of doctors and people who were against them, if you will. Literally putting people in bait. People don't know this, but I mean, this is, I can tell you, this is like, they were putting people, herding people in villages into the basement, throwing petrol in there and lighting it on fire. They took out hundreds of thousands of people in Russia for the Bolshevik Revolution. So beware, and beware of what you think, because that was Wall Street. Now, if you read The Creature from Jekyll Isle, Edward Griffith, I mean, who I've been in communication with, the most amazing book, I've given out 100 copies, The Creature from Jekyll Isle, the true story of the Federal Reserve, all documented that World War I was started by the bankers, by Rothschild. Well, okay, so long story short, the United States was pulled into World War I because of sinking of the Lusitania, which was all done on purpose to get the United States to come into the war, World War II, and to also loan England something like $500 million or something, whoever. And all of that money went to repay Rothschild debt. Rothschild was in a debt. So World War I. World War II, again, a banker's war.
Harbor. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's beyond Pearl Harbor, but the point is
where
that
did Hitler get all the money from to build his army? Germany
Wall
was
Street.
broke.
You guys have an amazing magazine there called New Dawn or Nexus. I think I get both of them. They come out of Australia. And there's a two-part series, and I think it's Nexus. Maybe it's New Dawn. Doesn't matter. Of two guys that researched the rise of Hitler in Germany, and it was backed by Wall Street. They prove it. The guy that they put in to take this guy that was like a nobody and bring him up to, but he got out of control. You see, then he kind of went sideways on them. But the point is that it's all the bankers. I'm not even going to call them bankers. It's all of this, the puppeteers who are way above Bill Gates.
Do you think we saw that with that young girl? Who was the young girl that took the world by storm, the climate change one? You are destroying my dreams.
Yeah.
What was her name?
Yeah.
Greta Thunberg. I always thought that. There she is in one poster. The next minute she's all over the world. I thought that had amazing PR company behind her taking her there. I mean, how could a young 12-year-old, or how old she was, get to talk in front of the United Nations? Come on.
I got a better one for you.
How to make that happen.
I got a better one for you. How can a really ignorant vice president called Kamala Harris, who didn't even get one vote in 2020, all of a sudden be neck and neck in the polls with Donald Trump, ex-President Donald Trump? Are you kidding me?
Oh, she's in front. If you read some polls, she's like 75 to 25.
So you understand how powerful the PR, the psyops. It's psyops. It's what it was. In fact, Liz Gunn
is the danger though not these powerful people, but the people below them, us, our brothers and sisters, who for some reason are choosing powerlessness. I mean, if say we're having this conversation now, but there's other men out there who could be looking at this conversation, whether they're my age, whether they're William's age, whether they're younger. And what they're being offered by society is shame, sort of slavery, and basically just virtue signaling their way to the grave with their last realization before they leave this planet, knowing that they have, through their inaction, through their own cowardice, even if they have houses and stuff to offer their children, all they're really offering their children and grandchildren, other children they won't meet, is slavery. They have contributed to enslaving future generations through not having the courage to do what needs to be done now, because we are the most important generation of humans that have ever existed, because they're about to bring in AI and all this other stuff and make us completely redundant. Why would a species do that? Why would you put up with that? Why would you say, no, AI can serve me, mate. I'm a human. This is a human planet. It can serve me. But instead we just sit back and as they basically plan our extinction around us and try to convince us it's a good deal. This is
Yeah.
what we're seeing. You know?
Well, I think it's a great lifetime to be around. Actually, I'm it's like a
I do
thrill
too.
ride.
I mean, I'm feisty. You're alive. You're fighting. But that's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
question that I don't understand.
Well,
Is it a lack of philosophy? Is it a lack of deep thinking? Is it
Well,
that you're just going too
you know,
fast? Or
I
is it
think
cowardice?
it was all the manipulation started with Bernays back in the 20s, Edward Bernays, and he was the master of propaganda. It turned out to be propaganda, but he was telling people, corporations, how to sell their product on television, how to get people to buy into how to psychologically manipulate people to buy something that they didn't really want. And all of a sudden they need to have it. I need to have that. I need to have that. And
Diamonds is a perfect example.
right. So, but just follow that through, because then Bernays basically that turned into the OSS or whatever, and then the CIA, and basically it's been well, actually Liz Gunn told me something very interesting, and you can talk to her about this but she states that the New Zealand government had this agency that had a Maori name. I can't remember it because these long Maori names I don't really get. But the point is that there was between 120 and 140. Most of them brought in from outside psyops that were doing full-time work here in this country to just psychologically manipulate this country. So when you ask why can people do that, well, there's an amazing book, by the way, William, you should really read this. I put it up. It's by Dr. Niles. He was on Tucker Carlson also, but it's called The Indoctrinated Brain. And it's kind of scary because he talks about the nanolipoparticle and the spike protein entering into the hippocampus and basically taking out your autobiographical memory. So system one is processed. System one is the reptilian response that we all have, fight or flight, and that's processed through the limbic system in this hippocampus to system two, he calls it, which is where you have logical, creative thinking, and you have relationships, and you have, you look people in the eye and all this kind of stuff. Well, that's been knocked out, according to him. And he gives really good proof to this, and basically what they've left is this hole, system two hole, that they can just drop fear into all the time.
Which is what they're doing: bird flu, monkeypox.
Yeah, and so I tell people, first thing I tell people, you want to stop your anxiety and your sleeplessness and all this kind of stuff. Throw the television out the window. Just don't even turn it. We haven't watched television for 19 years. It's just they call it programming for a reason.
Yeah, no, we never watch it. The only time we watch is if you go to a pub and it's on a wall and you're only watching it for a few minutes and it's like going, whoa, thank God I don't have one anymore, which is ironic because most of us grew up with little black and white screens and all this. Now we have the biggest screens we've ever seen, which match 1984 Winston's screen on his wall. We're literally the same size now, except he had it to dominate him and we've got it the other way. But no, so many people in the freedom. How about you, William? You watch TV much? You big TV buff?
I was very fortunate to have read a good book by Noel Whittaker in high school about how young people should spend their lives wisely. And the one piece of advice he gave was to not watch TV. So I stopped watching TV at the turn of the 21st century. And so I actually credit that reason, that I never watched TV, as the reason when I learned about WTC7, the World Trade Towers, the Bilderberg Group, Bohemian Grove, and all the vaccines, all this type of stuff. It came to me quite easily because I wasn't indoctrinated by that damn TV. And that I truly think that was my best decision I ever made in my life, was to not watch TV.
That's well said. Well said.
I watch so many people come up to us and say, why have I seen this on TV? They say that a lot. Oh, really? Why haven't I seen this on TV? I wonder. What?
Hey, so I want to
Exactly.
tell you, this is a segue. I love this, be able to just kind of go everywhere. So this is a fact, because first of all, and I'm going to tell this is, the most important vitamin that you can take, it's not even a vitamin, is vitamin D. Okay.
Yeah.
There's 2,000 reactions vitamin D is involved with. It's got every receptor, every cell in your body's got receptor for vitamin D. So it's not a vitamin, it's a hormone actually. And I had my clinics in Florida. I blood tested everybody for vitamin D, or you guys say vitamin. You say vitamin there in Australia?
Vitamin.
It doesn't matter. The point is that I blood tested every one of my patients, and there was thousands of them several thousand, not thousands of them. In Florida, you can't get more sun than Florida. I mean, face it, guys, it's just sunny as hell. And 85% were suboptimal, 85% by blood testing. You know what here? So first of all, they charge $60 for a vitamin D blood test, whereas you can do all these other tests that are government, $60 for that vitamin D. And so in September of 2021, because I'm a registered physician, I'm invited to a Zoom conference as Omicron's coming, and it was the Ministry of Health Zoom to the doctors, right? To our district health board. Now we have 72 district health boards, so these guys were doing this a lot. So it was very well programmed. So I get on there and I'm watching. There's 5 Orwellian heads, like right out of 1984, just this part here, and they're talking and they're giving all of this doom and gloom to the doctors. And in one screen only is Nelson Hospital with everybody in there cowering, with a little whiteboard trying to figure out what's going to be happening. Ambulances won't be running. O2 levels will be going down. Buy morphine. Get a lot of morphine. That was an interesting one. Get a lot of morphine. On and on and on. It was just doom and gloom for an hour. And so I'm sitting there kind of going, nothing about, anything proactive. And I certainly wasn't going to type in ivermectin into the chat bar. So I decided I'm going to type in, well, we have 50,000 IU vitamin D in the formulary. Let's just distribute vitamin D to the masses because it'll really keep a lot of people from dying, stuff like that. I hit the send button and I'm proudly watching my thing go up with everybody else. And it was pull in 10 seconds.
Wow.
And
so
not
someone's
by the
actually sitting there waiting for it. Wow.
How about that? Still gives me shivers because it wasn't the guys at the Nelson Hospital. They didn't even have a keyboard. It had to be somebody watching, and they didn't want a doctor putting any information out about the healing power and the help that high dose vitamin D would have done. So,
well, Bruce, one of the most disgraceful things that happened during the scamdemic here in Australia is one of our business people / politicians, Clive Palmer. He was so passionate about helping Australians during the pandemic and
I've
getting
watched
past the
several of his.
Yeah, he bought was it 30 or more million doses of hydroxychloroquine to give the Australian people as an early treatment for COVID, rather than the crap paracetamol and no help or remdesivir and intubation that the mainstream physicians were giving. And he purchased all those medications, the hydroxychloroquine, and then the Australian government made him fire it all, destroy it, burn it up, incinerate it. It's disgusting.
Mm.
Product
protection.
Well, I hope all of your viewers realize, at least in the States, I can talk for about, and Robert Kennedy's book, The Real Anthony Fauci, the first chapter is a killer about how they suppressed ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine because they had to in order to bring in an emergency use authorization for the vaccine. If ivermectin was actually shown and allowed to be used in any other scenario, then they wouldn't have been able to bring in the shot. So
yeah, that's right.
And
they didn't have an alternative therapy.
They've seized millions of doses at the border here, ongoing, of cheap.
It's such a scandal.
Oh, it's unbelievable. And so what I did, here I am, Golden Bay is at the northeast corner of the top South Island. We have a huge mountain between us and the rest of the world. It takes an hour to get over it. I just did it today, coming back from seeing patients over there. It's a wonderful, incredible. You can drive, turns and everything. It's great. But anyway, so we're really rural, and there's only one tiny little hospital here that, is in another medical group. So I said, wow, this Omicron coming, man, I'm going to at least get my patients. And I built little, what I called COVID ready kits. They had ivermectin in it. They had vitamin D. They had aspirin, baby aspirin, and something else. And I sold it to them, was reasonable, like $120 or something like that. And the ivermectin I had done by a compounding pharmacy. He charged a lot of money. I mean, it's unbelievable. But nevertheless, they bought these kits. They kept them when they got sick. They took them. Nobody had to go to the hospital. And wow, doesn't that make me a good doctor? Oh, no. Medical council, this is the local doctors here, they dobbed me in. And off it went with pretty much more than 20 out of the 26, I think, are trying to be hit up for something that. And so when they called me in front of the medical council, with my attorney, I looked at the group and I said, this is really important to have a regulatory body for bad doctors who are harming patients. That's your deal. You're supposed to keep doctors from performing harm. And so I acknowledge you for that. And I could see them kind of shaking their head like, well, that's good. Somebody's, I said, but you're pulling me in here. You've got a whole stack of patient testimonials. Not one of my patients had to go to hospital. Now, and basically nobody was harmed. And so I gave a little pause. I said, and I'm allowed to prescribe off-label ivermectin. I'm allowed to. Doctors, 60% of all medications are prescribed off-label, meaning that it's not for what they were here in this country. New Zealand, we use it for scabies. We have it on thing for scabies. But guys, you keep forgetting we're allowed to do that by law, by our licensure. We're allowed to do that. And so I said to them, why am I here if I'm allowed to do that? Why am I here? Do you know what? Crickets around the table. Not one word.
Wow.
And yet they sent me on.
Yeah. So what's happened to you, Bruce?
So they had no answer.
No answer.
And they still sent you down.
Yep. No answer.
Which reinforces your point that they're just puppets controlled from this other state, from America.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it reinforces that. Basically, what it is an extrajudicial kangaroo court that has power over the livelihoods of the drug pushers for the pharmaceutical industry. And they happen to be members of the Federation of State Medical Boards, or AHPRA. Well, you put it all together. And so, doctor, I'm sorry, but, you now have to move on to the Professional Conduct Committee, so here's, do we have more time here?
Yeah, you go, brother. You're on fire.
Oh, this is great. So then I get to this Professional Conduct Committee. And that's in a little room now, instead of the big room at the Medical Council in Wellington. And there's 2 doctors and a layperson. The layperson is this 30-year detective, ex-detective, he's like, so I have my attorney here and then the council's attorney. So off it goes. And they had nothing basically except, in our local little paper here that maybe 1,000 people read, the detective, he was handed the job. The complaint was, so he says, it was a letter I wrote to the person who was in charge of the district health board announcements of Omicron cases, right? This is back in 2021. And so the letter to her named Charlotte, I said, dear Charlotte, my patients and I would love to know what a case is. Is it 1, a positive PCR without symptoms. 2, positive PCR with symptoms. 3, a vaccinated person, or 4, an unvaccinated person. Simple question. So the editor of our little Golden Bay Weekly, which is, you know, he gets full page ads from the government, so he doesn't do much. So he sends it, and she replies. So here's the woman that was putting out, I'm sure it happened in Australia too, cases, 10 cases here, 12 cases here when Omicron was coming.
Mm.
Her response to that letter, I thought, was pretty shocking. It was, I don't know, essentially, you have to ask the Ministry of Health what a case is. Here's the woman putting out cases, and she's telling in our little paper here, so this is part of one of my charges that he's now going to handle. He says, this is true. This is true. I'm just a bit of an actor in me. So he goes, and he's only about a meter away from me. He goes, now, Dr. Dooley, this letter, he read it just like I did. I said, yeah. I said, I thought that was a pretty amazing response there, Phil, don't you? And he looks at me and he goes, no. He says, what was your intention with that letter? I said, well, my intention was like it says, I wanted to find out what a case was. And he gets a second time. He goes, no, what was your intention? And I kind of looked around the table and I said, I think I just told you. And then he said a third time, he said, I want to know what your intention was. And I looked at my wonderful Lisa attorney. I said, Lisa, does that sound like he's trying to bully me? And she goes, yes. I was like, I looked at him. I said, don't you try to bully me, buddy. And he goes, so this is the crap that goes on. I want everybody to be on the inside and what's going on in here, because this is unbelievable. And so yeah, it's been fun.
So Bruce, what is your status now? You're a practicing doctor in New Zealand. You've escaped sanction from the Medical Council in New Zealand?
Yeah, I still have my registration. Yeah.
How did you achieve that? Yeah. How did you achieve the ability to escape the tyranny? Yeah.
Well, I called them out. And I'll tell you what, after this interview, who knows where it's going to go? But the point is that the Federation of State Medical Boards, which is really what I want to bring this conversation around to, the Federation of State Medical Boards, with its puppet association called AHPRA, who you just went to their lovely little Bali escapade. They're like an octopus around medicine, and the only thing that really works for them is to keep the doctors doing what the doctors were supposed to do, and the doctors didn't ever know that, which was to be a representative for the disease care industry. And
sales rep.
So call me up on the carpet, and I'll debate that with anybody that thinks that I'm trying to impugn the great medicine. Bullshit. It's just bullshit. And bullshit has to be called when people are dying left and right. This I told you about going to see that interview with, and you both need to watch that amazing Stanford doctor who, in her 6th year of, she just finished residency, she tells in the story. And she said, I'm looking around and I don't know anything about prevention. People are getting sick. I'm just supposed to do drugs. She went through her ear, nose, and throat residency, got all the way to the end. And she said, I walked into the top guy in charge. I laid my scalpel on the desk and I said, I quit. And she left medicine.
Wow.
Now that's one hell of a brave person. And she's now written a book with her brother, who's a Harvard MBA, about how basically the whole multinational food industry of crap food has created the weakest bodies ever known in the population. And the kids are sick all the time. And so she basically says, look, my job is to save these children from, basically eating themselves to death through this junk food. I mean, the other day I was in our little BP here in Golden Bay, and I was just talking to the wonderful woman that runs it. And she went back to get a bill or something. And so I had a chance to look around, and there's this Coca-Cola refrigerator with the, you've seen them with the clear doors and stuff in there, right? So I'm just like, I'm just looking at it. And I go down to the bottom, and there's these big Coca-Cola bottles, like a liter and a half, probably liter and a half. And the sign on it says 2 for $9. 2 of these bottles of pure sugar.
Yeah.
Horrible, terrible, that now they're making so cheap that kids, I mean, for $9, you sometimes can't even buy a beer. I guess the beers are not even $9 anymore. So here you can get 3 liters of sugar water that'll just pulverize your immune system. By the way, I have my master's in immunology, and so I spent 2 years living and breathing the immune system. And I can tell you, you get religion when you know the immune system, how it works. But you also know.
Can I just ask, Doc, just about the immune system? Because when I was traveling around, I came to a town that's mainly Aborigines, Halls Gap, I think, or Fitzroy Crossing, one of them. And my colleague, Wendy, went into one of the supermarkets there and said, look at this, Michael. A packet of berries was $18, tiny little packet of berries. Tim Tams were $2 a packet. You can't even get them for $2 a packet in Melbourne and way out in the bush. So basically everything that was terrible for these people to eat was dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Everything that was healthy was out of their reach.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing. So concurring with what you're seeing, but there's with the immune system now, so many people's immune systems are under duress and maybe even destroyed. Can it come back? Is there evidence that the immune system can repair itself, and how?
Well, listen, the body is such an amazing thing. I can tell you my first day in pathology, which was a whole year in medical school, my first day of pathology, they talked about homeostasis. That is the balance that the body comes into and can naturally keep itself in balance, right? And I thought, wow, that's really cool. The rest of this year is going to be how to keep the body in balance. That's what they're going to teach us. The next day was disease 1, disease 2, and all of a sudden it's just, here's the disease, here's how you take care of it. So basically they're saying, be at the bottom of the cliff for the crash, diagnose the crash, and apply whatever. Not at the top of the cliff saying, whoa, don't go there. That's not good.
No money in that.
There's no money in that. And that's what I said. The presidential commission, I got to say one thing for Clinton, besides, getting a blowjob under the desk, is that he, sorry. That just, wow, there's a killer drum on that one. But the point is that he put this commission together and they came up with that conclusion in 2001. How about it? Imagine what the United States
business, right? So even like vaccines come across like a religion. They're not really a religion. They're marketed as a religion, like a dogma. You can't question. These are a miracle from the pharmaceutical gods. So they're marketed like religion. You can't question religion, but what they actually are is just business, and there's no intention of making anyone healthy because there's no money in making you healthy. So if your kid gets if your kid gets autism or anything like that, they're a customer for life.
Well, there's no money in making people healthy on a large scale, like from a multinational corporation scale, but there is money at the local level for local practitioners to keep your patients healthy.
It all works together.
Yeah. So
there's money flowing in this industry. It's the money. So the oil of the medical industry isn't money, it's illness and sickness and keeping that, like I've got a beautiful young actor who worked in one of my plays. Two of them, actually, two beautiful young men. I'm a playwright, by the way. Beautiful young actors, and both of them have diabetes 1, and always after the Gardasil vaccine. Both of them. Maybe a coincidence, but here are. But and here their lives are just regimented around injecting themselves and all this other stuff. Money, 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 money.
That's why I think one of the ways that we can fight back, and as a solution to all this tyranny, Michael, I think is Bitcoin. I know that seems a little bit unrelated to medicine and freedom, but I really think that taking the power back from the Federal Reserve, from that creature from Jekyll Island, and using a currency that is decentralized, it's not controlled by any organization or person, is the way that we can restore the power imbalance in this world. That's my belief anyway.
Well, interesting. Vladimir Putin and I were born on the same day, same year, so we're both Libra dragons, and for some reason I am now associated with a Russian, and so I've paid attention. Do you know that he introduced a national campaign movement for organic food in Russia? And my daughter was just at a 2-week camp out 2 hours outside of Moscow, and every day they would send a very well-made professional presentation of what happened that day, set the music, but they took pictures of all the kids, so that the parents could see the kids. Well, I gave, I think it was Liz Gunn actually who said it, but anyway, somebody who's astute looked at those videos and said, "What's that?"
The only doctors I see these days are on Cafe Lockdown.
Yeah, thank you, Orchid, or that's an Hicks. So anyway, she said, "Damn," she said, and there was about 30 teenage kids in this 2-week session, right? I saw it immediately. The first video, I went, "Holy shit!" And she said, "My God, they're not overweight. Their eyes are bright and they're sharp, and they're healthy looking, like kids used to be, teenagers used to be." And I thought, good on you, Vladimir. All I can say.
Yeah, we've met people that are migrating to Russia to live. They've got no Russian ties. They don't even speak Russian. They're going there for freedom. Can I say what you're saying, Billy, about Bitcoin? But I actually think it's deeper than that. I actually think the real solution is to have deep gratitude for the gift of your body. You are alive on this planet. You don't know how it works. Maybe there is a God, and you might have an idea what God is like, but really, it's beyond our comprehension to understand. But you are alive. And as you said, Doctor, about immunology, you have this incredibly remarkable body, which I've learned more about since COVID. And if you have gratitude and love for it, then you won't be going and sticking all this shit in it, including all this stuff from the pharmaceutical companies that doesn't work anyway. But you actually take the responsibility of looking after your body, treating it like the great gift from the universe that it is, and that not handing that responsibility over to a psychopathic money laundering corporation. Just actually give a shit about yourself.
You've got some great people making comments on here.
Oh, yeah. We've got a great community. We're a community. We're not really a show. We're a community.
Yeah. Well,
even Dr. Daniel Nino is on here. He probably wants to come on and go nuts, but he owes me a couple of crayons, so he's going to have to be better than that before he can come on. But yeah, we do. This is why we do it live. Also, they can't censor us. They can later, because in Australia now, they are allowed legally to go back through our posts and alter them as they see fit, alter comments, alter your description, but they can't, at the moment, they can't censor free speaking with a live audience. This is why we do it, Wow. This is why we do it. This is the town hall square. That's how Australia, one of our, the deputy of or the head of the Liberal Party, came out recently and urged Australians to say, look, COVID was really bad, the lockdowns were bad, but that doesn't give an excuse to dislike the government, really. So if you've got family and friends who are talking like we talk, dob them into ASIO. Asking families to dob in family members to our security service.
There
That's
you
what
go.
they're
agency.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Saying.
Wasn't that Nazi Germany? Oh, yeah. That was Nazi Germany.
Yeah. And now our medical doctors today are allowed to just let babies who are unwanted die. You know, just let them do. It's now, that's it. That's the law. No, that's going to become the law. That, yep, the baby's born. It was meant to be abortion. They had a late-term abortion. It's fully able to live, but no, just let it die. This is where we are. Dobbing your neighbor, that's dobbing your friend, dobbing your family member. Oh, you know, he's talking about things basically anti-government. And it's staggering. And you just keep waiting for Australians to finally, is there a line in the sand? Is there finally one line? We've seen police beating up old women. We've had armored vehicles in the street, as you have had over there. You know, we had this incident, old ladies pepper sprayed. We just got that on camera. It's happened before. Everything that Australia was held up to be proud of is gone. You know, even our national anthem, Australians let us all rejoice, for we are one and free. We're not one, we're divided. The government actively divides us. We're not really free. That's a pretense. We gave away our freedoms, and we're certainly not rejoicing. So the vision for what we want is our national anthem, like a sing-along version of the Constitution. And we have to get back to that, but people are not. And I saw this, and the clues to how, and I'm not saying this for hope, because I believe we have to sell hope, but the clues for how close to real tyranny we are. We were driving through Sydney in the middle of the night, heading up to a gathering. And we stopped we were starving, and the place said, oh, here's a pizza place. So we went there thinking it was a restaurant. It was just a Greek couple who had a caravan in their front yard that they were doing things for, you know, like to go to festivals and stuff. And they were just open on their street. Middle of the night, no one can hear us, no cameras, no anything. And they're looking at my bus going, oh, what's your bus? You know, I said, oh, I'm a freedom fighter from Melbourne. You know, I'm very concerned that we're losing our fundamental freedoms. And these people, I watched their hands trembling. They were trembling. And they're actually going, yeah, you're right. But they were like, who's listening to us? No one's listening to you. It's only me. But that's how deeply it is. And how they did it was, especially in Melbourne with Dan Andrews, a pregnant woman puts on a post, please go to come to this rally. 5 people liked it. The police, or these brown shirts from Dan Andrews, came to her house, videoed them handcuffing her, taking away in front of her children and all the computers. That I was at the shrine where they shot us with rubber bullets. The reason they want that out there is they're quietly going, listen, Australians, as long as you do as you're told, you'll be fine. You can go to the footy and pretend you're free. You can do your job and do this, and you can whinge about the prices of, you know, power and food. But as long as you do that, you'll be okay. But if you stand up against us, you saw what we did to that pregnant woman. You saw what we did at the shrine where we shot your grandmother with rubber bullets. You got no hope, buddy. Yeah. And they've been captured on a deep subconscious level. They don't even know they've been captured. And that's what they've been captured. And now they're frightened of something that doesn't exist. And the only hope they have is to realize how wonderful they are, how precious they are in the universe, because you could travel 1,000,000 light years in any direction. You won't find another organism that's as wonderful to be as a human being. That's how incredibly rare you are. And they're stealing that magic and wonder for you. And they're doing it by holding up the carrot. Oh, look, pay off this bricked up space. Give away all your beautiful freedoms and everything so you can have some bricked up space that unfortunately doesn't fit into your coffin, but at least you'll have it. You know what I mean? And this is it. It's fundamental values. We need philosophers We need poets. We need artisans. We need people to remember how incredibly wonderful it is to be a human being. So wonderful that if someone tries to take it away from you, you have to be prepared to die to protect it, not for yourself, but for your kids or other people or other people's kids and stuff. That's where we're at. And people don't feel it now because it's like that old story about the dog on the veranda. Two old men, there's a dog, and the dog's whining. One guy goes, "Why is the dog whining?" Goes, "Oh, he's laying on a nail." "Well, why doesn't he move?" "Doesn't hurt enough yet." Trouble is, by the time it does hurt, you'll be on a train or a gulag or something like that. Won't matter that you stood up. You will have lost your chance.
Yep. I was just saying that, you were just saying about Putin, or I was talking about Putin. He just put out a notice yesterday inviting anybody from the Western world that wants to come in, who wants Western family values, spirituality, religion, non-woke, what gender do you identify as, and all of this stuff, which has been put out there to totally on purpose. Obviously, the whole woke movement is been configured to fit into that space that's been removed from by having the jab. So now we have these people who are all confused. Guys like when I grew up, a guy was like the Marlboro Man. He was dum 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 on a horse, and John Wayne, and now they've got
he identifies as the horse.
Now my 14-year-old daughter, God bless her, she's amazing, by the way. She's fluent in Russian. She's tall. She looks like a supermodel. But anyway, she's got her wall plastered with this Korean group, and they're all like, and it's unbelievable. There's not one of them that really even looks like a guy. And this is what do they call it? Korean pop or K-pop?
K-pop or something, yeah.
K-pop. It's the big thing now with these kids, and it's unbelievable. I said, Kira.
Well, we did have Bowie. I mean, we grew up with Bowie.
Yeah,
but we
Bowie.
watched
I like Bowie.
We didn't become Bowie.
But we knew that Bowie was a man, and he'd like to do Ziggy and all that stuff. But Bowie was good. I like Bowie.
Yeah, he was great. He was genius.
He was great.
Absolutely genius.
He
but he
really
did
great.
do that androgynous thing. But I saw him in an interview later. He said he told his bandmates that they said, "We're not putting up any makeup." He said, "You get the chicks," and he said the next minute they're all putting on lipstick. So the whole thing was, you're on stage androgynous, but you're going to get the chicks.
I got to tell you something though. My first visit to Australia, I had my company MercOut, and I was doing something in Sydney. But I decided that I was going to go to Perth. I just want to see what Perth was like. So I flew over this big desert, and I just, wow, this is just all desert here. It's unbelievable. And landed in Perth, and the person that met me said, "Hey, you want to go to a rugby game?" I go, "Yeah, I like rugby." So we went to this. We went to the game, and then afterwards they had a beer house on the grounds there. Everybody went to there, and I'm gonna get to the point of why I'll wing back to this. So I'm in there, and I'm really surrounded by real men, and I'm like, man, there's not a lot of female in these guys. I mean, I don't know if they can identify with their feminine side here. Right? Well, this one guy just comes up and he starts going, "Yeah, these Sheilas, we like to, Sheila. And I went, "Hey, mate, I love women. I love women energy, And he goes, "What?" And he wants to duke me out. So I came away with a bad impression of Aussie men. Like, guys, get in touch with a little sensitivity here, it's not all, but anyway.
Now you think they've gone too far?
I went on a rant. Sorry. That's
where you're saying now you think they've gone too far, where they joined women's boxing and beating up women in the boxing ring, a bit too much femininity there.
Listen,
I just want to go back to William for a sec. Sorry. Finish what you're going to say.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to finish up because, they've gotten so brazen now with this, right? That they decided we're just gonna open up the Paris Olympics with this horrible display of crap that just we're just going to
Urinating
throw
on,
it out there.
urinating on Christianity. That's what they did.
Yeah, yeah.
Urinated all over
And
Christianity.
and the closing segment too. Same thing, satanic and whatever. So go ahead, Carrie.
Yeah, William, what's your take on tonight? You've come on. You've had a very hard road, brother. I'm not going to bring it up tonight, but I know how hard, as much as you've told me. You've had a very hard road from that moment. I think before that moment when you came out of my show, you're listening to this doctor tonight. What are your thoughts, brother?
Well, I'm thinking I may look for a job in New Zealand. That's one thought I had this evening. And the other thoughts is that, yeah, it's great to see such intelligent and inspiring conversation from Bruce and yourself, Michael. And, you know, it gives me hope that there is still so much, hope out there, because there are more of us than we think. Tonight, I've learned of another doctor that thinks like me, and that gives me comfort to know that there's others like us out there, and maybe there's thousands, if not millions of us out there. We've just got to connect, and that's what your show is doing, Michael, where you connected us with so many doctors around the world during a 24-hour epic live stream. And I think that's what the epic protests were. The convoy to Canberra in February 2022 did so well, is to show everybody that there's so many of us out there and we are not alone. So well done again on a great show. It's been a pleasure and honor to be involved tonight, and I really want to get going. I'm feeling enthused.
Yeah,
mate.
That's great.
Thank you so
that
much,
is
Michael.
Great. Can I tell you, both your doctors, but William does this anyway. I think you do it too. But the movement is full of incredibly interesting people. There was one young woman used to come down to when we were early protesting on the steps of Parliament in Melbourne. She was covered in tattoos. She was pale, a little skinny thing. And she came up and said, I want to be a philosopher. And I spend my time in my room. And I'm an introvert. So if I've come out of my room all the way down here and I'm on this loudspeaker, I'm going to speak, you need to listen. Because when the introverted started speaking up, you need to listen. And she said to me, and I'll never forget it, and it's really hard. She said, you have a moral obligation not to sell hopelessness, no matter how tight its grip. And I've always tried to stick to that. I think her name was Ty or something. I don't know. I didn't stay in contact with her. But I really felt I was given an order that's necessary. And because we have to sell hope. And the hope is in our conversation tonight. Even if we're wrong, we're talking. And freedom of speech is the greatest weapon against tyranny we have. That's why they want to disarm us.
That's
so we just have to keep talking. Naturally, not everything we're going to say is going to be 100%, but who cares? We're all navigating the mystery of life in our own way and coming back with our observations and stuff like this. But this is what we have to do. I believe we were sent here, or we're here through choice, and we're not here to be slaves. That is a weak choice. Even if you're trapped in a mortgage and everything else, you've still got your delicious brain, which you can think freely with and explore the universe from wherever you are. It's wonderful to be a human being. It's worth fighting for. And it's the greatest gift that you can give to your kids. They don't want holiday houses if they're only going to be a slave. They want humanity. They want to be human beings. They want to be fundamentally free. They want to be the architects of their own future. Even if you're too tired to be it, do not steal that gift from your grandchildren. Do not let your dying realization be, I've enslaved future generations, because that shame will carry you into the netherworld. You will never shake it.
Amen.
Oh, well said. Beautifully said. I ended my Liz Gunn interview basically, like, I think we're coming to a conclusion here, and that she said, well, why are you doing this, Dr. Dooley? And I said, it took me by surprise, because I burst out in tears. I said, I'm doing this for my daughter.
I understand.
For her future, for her children's future.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they're not going to know what freedom is.
That's right.
Or health. Or
Yeah,
health.
That's right.
So many things.
Well, God bless you guys. I think this is a
God
great.
bless you, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
In
keep
fact, I'll
fighting.
leave you with this. We are all part of an army of light. I know this for a fact.
Yeah.
Just a faith fact. It's hurt me. It doesn't matter whether you're Tucker Carlson. It doesn't matter whether you're Dr. Dooley. It doesn't matter whether you're someone who's just out there refusing to use your credit card and using cash. We are all part of this army of light, and we are unstoppable. We're rising because we are attracted to the light. And I used to think we had no leader, but secretly, I'm not going to say who it is now, but I believe that we do have a leader. And we are all part of that army of light. And right now, the war is between love and truth and fear and lies. And if you are watching a movie, who would you root for? And if you're not in the army of love and light, what the fuck are you doing with your existence? Gentlemen, I'm going to go out with a song. That was been a wonderful interview. I was so excited you said yes to come on. I truly was. I've got a guy here. Let's see if I've got it. Is it this one? Who can we go with? I've got to get some things. Actually, yeah, I don't have it here. Yeah. Look, bear with me. Keep chatting, guys. Keep chatting amongst yourselves. 2 seconds while I look. There's oh, here we go.
Is it going to be Grateful Dead? I don't like the Grateful Dead.
No, this is a guy in from Perth called Al Muir. Because we started a thing called Culture, where we're trying to get the music from our movement together. So if any New Zealand musos, why don't you join us? Send us your music. This is from Al Muir. It's called Peaceful Warrior. It's a beautiful song to go out with. And honored to have you on the show. That was a brilliant interview. Gorgeous man. William, well, I'll see you soon. I love you.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, guys. God bless. Keep fighting.
Take care.
You too, Bruce. You too.
Good night, everybody.
San Francisco rain, sweet smelling agitation pulsing through my veins, pulsing through my veins. Playing my new 6-string on the porch, listening to the sounds of nature, opening up my pores, opening up my pores. Down on Mother Earth, I smell the taste in every drop, quenching our thirst, quenching our thirst. What do you need from life to live? In this electronic world, what is it that you miss? What are the things that you crave? Can you shake the brainwash off? Stand up and be brave. Be a peaceful warrior, be brave. Yeah, be a peaceful warrior, be brave. My mouth is dry, my soul does yearn for the simple things in life. Time for me to learn, time for me to learn. Modern life is not the life for me. Food, warmth, good company, I sing songs under a tree. No, modern life is not for me. What do you need from life to live? electronic world, what is it that you miss? What are the things that you crave? Can you shake the brainwash off? Stand up and be brave. Be a peaceful warrior, be brave. Yeah, be a peaceful warrior, be